It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Over the years, I've received a ton of questions from the comments. If you want to ask me a question, again, just write your question down in the comments below. I read your comments. But a bunch of you have asked me this. How much crossover is there between video games and fighting? And usually people want to know whether or not they can pull off Mortal Kombat moves or Streetfighter moves or Tekken moves in real life. But I'm going to give you a different type of answer. And that answer is, yes, there's a lot of crossover between the way that you play video games, some video games, and success in combat sports and pretty much any other aspect of life. But it's not what you think. Think of video games, especially role-playing games that have meters and stats and all those nerdy numbers attached to them. Games with survival modes are a great example of this. If you play, for example, Fallout New Vegas on survival mode, or Minecraft on survival mode, or The Sims, not really survival mode, but it's got these little meters that fill up. You gotta take care of your character's needs on a schedule. Yeah, you gotta make sure those Sims take care of their hygiene and they go to the bathroom and they eat and they're entertained. Or if you play Fallout on survival mode, you gotta make sure you're hydrated and you sleep enough, and it requires a certain regiment. And you may wonder, sometimes when playing a video game like that, and being very successful at a video game like that, and creating a godlike character who's accomplished all the things in a video game like that, and acquired all the wealth and all the items in a video game like that. If only real life was so easy. But I'm going to tell you that the skill set that you use to succeed at a game like that is actually the same skill set that you use to succeed at a combat sport or any aspect of life. And that is consistency. So to be successful in a survival mode style game or one of those meters fills up style games, what do you have to do? You got to stick to a schedule. You got to make sure that your character's needs are satisfied, so that they can progress to the next level or do the next thing. Because if you don't stick to that schedule, you don't succeed. Now, you might say, well, I don't play the video game all day, every day. I play it for an hour or two once in a while. Yeah, good. That means you got time to train too. You don't want to waste your life playing video games because that part will not translate to success. How much time do you think it takes out of your day to be successful in a combat sport? How much can you realistically train in a day before you hit that point of diminishing returns? Honestly, it's going to be a few hours tops. Professional fighters generally do 2 training sessions, a technique and sparring session, which may last up to 2 hours, often less, and a strength and conditioning session at a different point in the day, generally less than 2 hours. To a couch potato, that might sound like a lot, but there are people who play video games for 3 or 4 hours a day. What if you channeled that sort of discipline, that sort of scheduling, into a constructive real-life activity? What if you got really, really regimented and structured in the same way that you play a video game, but in real life just for an hour a day? Just like you play that video game for an hour a day, let's suppose. Being generous. It's really easy to play a game for more than an hour, I know, but... And I know what you're thinking, but real life is boring. Okay, yeah, but how many people are there out there in the world playing some massively multiplayer online game where they're just grinding for experience points or collecting gold pieces day after day, doing the same repetitive task that is not fun, giving them no tangible physical reward until they get that level up. This happens constantly. And why do they do it? Well, I'll tell you. Because these games, I'm tempted to say trigger a dopamine response, which they do, but the games give you incentive. What is motivation? Motivation is belief. It is the belief that you will get the thing that you are working toward. And in real life, it's difficult for a lot of people to do that because they don't see the end result. It's hard to see themselves succeeding in the gym, for example. But some of us, we look at, let's say you want to be a bodybuilder. You want to have big, giant biceps. And so you go to the gym and you see a guy who has big, giant biceps. And you're like, hey, that is humanly possible. What does that guy do? So you start watching him, and you see he's doing a bunch of bicep curls and other accessories to make those biceps grow, and he's eating 12 chickens a day, and he's sleeping well, and he's scheduled, and he's regimented, and so you start thinking, well, hey, maybe if I start doing those things, my biceps might grow and start to resemble his, just a little bit more. And so we have this belief, if I do that thing, perhaps I'll get that reward. Now, it's really easy to stare at ourselves and think, well, I've always had these skinny arms. I've done like 5 or 6 bicep curls before, and they didn't grow giant like his, so might as well just quit now. But in a video game, it's easier to visualize, it's easier to believe, and it's easier to be motivated because the games are designed to show you the reward. For example, if you're playing one of those massively multiplayer online games, you're surrounded by thousands of people showing off their characters that have already acquired all the experience and the gold and the items and the success. And you see them with their godlike abilities, and you're like, ooh, if I keep grinding it out, doing this boring activity that I actually kind of hate, then I can get that thing that I want. And so there are a bunch of people very motivated to do boring, mundane, repetitive, non-fulfilling, non-rewarding tasks because they're motivated. Because they've seen something that they want, and they believe that they're going to be able to get it if they stick to the schedule. So you have 24 hours in a day. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day in the gym working toward becoming the greatest fighter. That will actually become counterproductive because you also need to sleep and eat and do a bunch of other stuff. Not unlike one of those survival video games where you gotta satisfy the meters or you lose, if you will. There's a window over here, that's why I'm looking out. That a lot of people ask me if these videos are scripted. Some people ask me to send them the script of my videos, and I'm going to tell you they're not scripted. If you can't tell, I am speaking off the top of my head here and speaking from the heart. I gave myself a few very simple rules when I started making these YouTube videos, and that was do it all in one take. And that was about it. Just speak, don't edit it, don't filter anything out. If it ends up on camera, let it go. Because, again, as I often say, my goal doing these videos was always to practice speaking to other people. And when you speak to real people, you don't get a mulligan. Oh man, I didn't like the way that sounded. Oh, let's cut that part out. Do a jump cut. No. So you got 24 hours in a day. And maybe you're a lazy person. Okay. I get that. Most of us are. Did you know that? Most of us are lazy people. Why? Because nature tells us to be lazy. Nature rewards our laziness. It does. It's telling you to conserve your energy. To not go running around like a chicken with your head cut off, exposing yourself to the elements, exhausting yourself. It's telling you to be wise with your time, basically. So pick 1 hour out of your day and be as wise with that time as you can. And schedule it every day. Make it consistent. Write it down. What am I going to do in that hour to become more productive, to be the best cage fighter out there, to be the best martial artist out there, to be the best me out there? And take that 1 hour out of the day, if you're a lazy person, which most of us are, to be committed and scheduled and regimented, and play that 1 hour like you would play that video game, if you will, that you're so good at, where it's so easy to succeed because you stick to the grind. Because you follow the schedule and because you play by the rules. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train. Hey fella, looks like you could use a rash guard. What for, you say? Well, they protect your skin against matte-borne illnesses, matte burn, and they make you look incredibly cool. But where do I get a rash guard from? Hey, have you heard of xmartial.com? Yeah? Then what are you waiting for? Check them out right now. xmartial.com has all kinds of rash guards, from sleek and simple, novelty, badass designs, and more. Channel your inner Japanese cartoon rat monster. Express your love for bad puns and kitty cats doing iconic jujitsu moves. Hey, that panda's gonna hit the other panda with a folding chair like a pro wrestler. And this one makes your right arm stand out. NoGiBJJGear.com is now xmartial.com, serving your needs beyond just no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, find brand new equipment for mixed martial arts, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, and more at xmartial.com. As always, use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything on the website. Once again, that's xmartial.com. Rash guards, spats, shorts, and more. Links and discount codes in the description below.